I believe that Jesus is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, but as my mother says, he has bad PR. With respect to race in the church, I've been in church and heard people question President Obama's citizenship, heard people make snide comments about social welfare policy with their designer clothes on. I kind of been like, shut up, really don't want to listen to this. So, as a church, particularly the American church, we have a long way to go. And so when I think about this from a spiritual standpoint, sin is our attempt to do what we want to do when we want, how we want, sometimes to try to achieve good things, but to do it in our own strength. And so I think Christians, like anybody else in this country, are often motivated by their own self-interest, motivated by their own sense of sort of cultural superiority. And if they don't surrender that to Christ, then it manifests itself in ways that are actually really ugly. And that's sort of at the root of all sin. So if we think about greed and arrogance and all of those kinds of things, those are often also wrapped up in racism as well. And so what I see sometimes in the church is that people have not surrendered that aspect of their lives. What's actually probably more damaging and more troubling, and this is something, and I'm preaching to myself sometimes, when you are confronted with the Bible telling you that there's no respect of persons, that there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female, slave nor free, that we like to figure out a way to take our culture or our self-interest and rationalize it as being spiritual in some way. And we do that for lots of things in our lives. So I could take out racism and fill in the blank with some other ways that we do this. And it manifests itself. It manifests itself in consumerism here in the United States. There probably is a reason why prosperity gospel sort of, really took root here. And some of my friends, I think of Marla Frederick at Harvard, who can talk about reasons why African Americans might be drawn to it. But it takes root here because we have a tendency in this country to try to take our culture and then put the little patina of Jesus on it and say that it's okay. And we've done that with race too, and we still do it. And we're going to have to do the hard work, sometimes the slow work, and certainly the painful work of disabusing ourselves of that and laying bare before Christ and allowing God to tell us about ourselves and to submit. And so, when I think about the scripture where Jesus says, if any man come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. What that means is that you're going to get told you're wrong about some stuff. You're going to get told that there are certain things that you can't do, that your motives are wrong. And if you're really going to have that vibrant relationship, that intimate relationship with God, you're either going to submit on that stuff or you're going to double down on my own self-interest. And then when you do that, that's how we end up with all of these isms.